If we're going to continue to do this, we've got to continue to evolve.
It's more of a lot of the parents are going to be like, hey, how do we go forward with this? Like, yeah, do we want our kids around a whole bunch of kids? Do we want to keep our kids in a program where, you know, they're touching each other? You know, it's a whole ordeal where it's deeper than just this year.
And I think that's for all of us in this COVID time. People have been looking at things, kids and parents are looking at things that they would never have looked at in the past.
Although this pandemic is going to be over, there's going to be something else. So we've got to make sure that when the next whatever hits, that we're at a place where we're not going to be in this type of circumstance where we lose half of our clients.
Rain, shine, tornado, hurricane, we're here.
Next Step Training is a mindset-driven training program that focuses on life coaching.
You're killing them out here, man. You're killing them.
Physical and skills training.
Good work, good work, good work.
And then health and nutrition to get the best of our athletes.
We know it's hard and it restricts your movement, but we want it to restrict your movement because we want you to power through it.
We actually were right about mid-March when they basically canceled all travel basketball tournaments. And so we knew we were in trouble then. But then we got a glimmer of hope and things started to open back up.
Gyms and fitness centers. So effective Monday, gyms can operate. Make sure that you have respect the social distancing capacity.
It seemed like we were trending in the right direction. And then we went the opposite direction.
Miami is now the epicenter of the pandemic. What we were seeing in Wuhan 6 months ago, 5 months ago, now we are there.
We went from, okay, we're training 10 kids, we're doing practices, we're preparing for a travel season, we're setting up tournaments, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're not doing any of that.
Started the season with about 60 to 65 clients, and now we're down to about 20. So we've lost a little more than half, and we've lost a few coaches as well, just because we couldn't sustain the money to pay some of them the salary that they needed, and they also moved. But we tried to support them as much as we could.
You look at us. Which one do you think's the worst shooter?
It's so important to keep Next Step going during the pandemic, because kids need an outlet. They need somebody to show them that their mental, their ailments that they're dealing with, whether it's depression, anxiety, loneliness, that there are certain outlets that will help you get to that. And Next Step is one of them, because we want to have real conversations with our kids. We want them to know that, it's okay to have these feelings, but it's not okay not to do anything about them.
Whenever you're about to explode, all right, you want to make whatever sound you want to make, so whatever you want to do to get yourself going, do it. Feel free. All right, you saw how Coach got to this spot. All right, 1, 2, and all you hear was, ah! All right, to get by. I had a teammate in college. Every time he was about to go by somebody, all you hear is, he just go by. Boom, pop back, shot.
A lot of our kids during this time are going crazy. They've been messaging us nonstop. What are you guys doing? Can we go out and do the hills again? So it's been a huge adjustment.
Let's shot grab again, push again.
Coaching during this time has been challenging. Challenging in the sense that you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing from a safety standpoint. And since the knowledge of what's going on is changing on a daily basis, you just want to make sure you're always doing the right thing.
It's hot in here. It's hot in here. It's hot.
We've tried to stay pretty consistent with the guidelines from the CDC. So we're wearing masks. We're keeping 6 feet apart. When we're outdoors, we just make sure that we take it even more. We try to be even more than 6 feet apart. We're washing our hands after drills. During drills, we will have hand sanitizer there if they would like. and there's no contact. So we're not doing any one-on-one drills where there's a chance where they're constantly touching each other.
Just like Ye, you look just like the bearded one. Good footwork, good footwork. That's what we gotta deal with these days, man. How do you teach kids that, man? That's just tough.
Unfortunately, some of our full-time coaches, they had to go get regular paying jobs because we couldn't afford to pay them. And we did apply for some of the loans, and unfortunately, we weren't able to get them. It's been a lot, but like all of us, we're going to get through it. This is a bump in the road, and you just have to take your licks and keep on going.
All right, so this hurts. AJ's 6'8", right? Everybody else here is not 6'8". So if he can get down here and play defense, we should be able to play defense down here.
So with next step during this time, I know that, there was a lot of talk just as far as, the season being canceled and what that would look like for our attendance and, what we were going to do next to just make sure that we maintain the company. And it was without a doubt. We just said there's not a chance that we would close next step. It's a movement. It's a way of thinking. If you take away that type of thinking and that mindset of being able to persevere during tough times, and that's the end of your testimony, then really you've just kind of given up on why you're doing what you're doing.
12 days after they learned his name and how he died under the knee of an officer now charged with murder, a new demand.
I have an obligation to this community because this community has done so much for me, but I also have an obligation to the police department as well. So there's got to be a better way.
We wanted to make sure that we just made our kids aware of what was going on, and we wanted to be sensitive to their parents as well. So we didn't want to undermine what they were saying, but also we needed to, as a Black-owned business, just give them perspectives of things that have happened to us in the past and just how we have to change this mindset and get out of this systematic racism. It's not like racism all of a sudden just came up. It's just finally getting reported.
You gotta get to me, man.
Yeah, you gotta go forward.
You gotta get to me. Make me think you're going forward.
Hey, what are you gonna drive by him?
I have to think you're gonna go by me.
Yeah, you gotta sell it.
There you go.
Lucas, that's 2 for you, man. That's 2.
Yeah, catching up.
All right,
so we
man.
started the business in 2013, unofficially. It was first word of mouth, and then it became one of those, well, there's a lot of basketball programs out there. Why would we ever want to be a part of yours? And some of the stories that you're going to hear are some of those life stories of student athletes that have dealt with some pretty serious life circumstances, and in helping them overcome them.
As we know, these have been challenging times in America with the COVID. Most kids are in isolation. They aren't able to play with their friends, and they aren't able to do the things that they would usually do.
A disturbing report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
We've had a crisis well before the pandemic. Now we have a whole new layer.
The CDC study yesterday was a kick in the gut. When you start to think of a group of young folks, 18 to 24, 25% of them have thought about death by suicide.
Students dealing with depression, dealing with suicidal thoughts, dealing with just the underdog theory. I'm just always the underdog.
And we've developed this program, this Journey Journal program, because we believe that it's important for kids to express what they feel. We believe that it's important for them to, we believe that there's a power in writing.
Journaling was definitely a weird start, but it definitely does help. Whether it's just little things or bigger things, it just helps you realize more. It kind of helps you realize yourself more.
Honestly though, what's been the hardest part of the pandemic for you? This whole thing with the social distancing and not being able to, as someone your age, what grade are you in again?
7.
7th grade. What's been the hardest thing for you?
honestly, the hardest part has probably been the isolation.
And not having that interaction, whether it's one-on-one interaction, just having interaction with coaches and his peers. They're isolated, so you lose that, and I think that takes something away from their competitive nature.
We're doing this to change the mind frame of student athletes in our community, and if we stop, then it stops. So the buck stops there, and we're not going to allow that to stop.
It's Coach Dwayne checking in. Today the kids just got done doing a little core work. Coach E and Coach Gabe are putting them through some strenuous drills right now. So kids are fighting through. We caught a couple bodies today, but they're doing a great job here on this Saturday morning. Marcos, man, he said he'd lock you up though, man. Go. Said he'd lock you up.
Man, so at Next Step Training, it's been really exciting just to see the kids just really bounce back from being depressed, from not having any chance of doing anything for the first couple months just because of all the uncertainty, to now with the pandemic. We actually have one of our players that came back from Washington State. And actually during the pandemic, since we have limited amount of coaches on staff right now, he actually volunteered to help out some of our younger kids.
One of the biggest things I wanted to do was train like crazy with Coach Gabe. I wanted to get back to Next Step Training, training every day basically. After every training, every practice, I would try to, motivate them, help them and stuff, give them a lift, tell them good job, good stuff like that.
So here we got Carlos working on a little progression shooting right now with 4 of the guys. We also have Coach Sheldon back here working on a little bit of ball handling with the other 4.
Carlos, he's basically has one hand right now, or he has one hand, and just his work ethic and how hard he works, it's incredible. The kid does everything that everybody else does, puts in work, and it's just incredible the feedback that he texts me all the time. Hey coach, thank you for everything you've done for me, and without you, sometimes I wouldn't make it out here to do these practices. It's the little things that count.
Basically, I had a stroke in my utero, meaning it happened in the womb, and it happened before I was born, so I couldn't do nothing about it, I would say it helped me get better in a way, because I have to work harder than, everyone, to prove to everyone and prove to myself that I can do it,
Coach Gabe was just instrumental in just mentoring him throughout, the good and the bad.
It was kind of like a mentor, I'm not gonna lie. Him and Coach Dwayne and even Coach Sheldon, they wanted me to get better. They talked to me not even just about basketball. I could talk to them about anything.
I think the next steps for us in the state of Florida will be to work with our 3 southern Florida counties about moving them into phase 2.
What we see next with Next Step is that we've got a tournament coming up. So we have the Alliance tournament coming up in a couple weeks. So we're super pumped. Our athletes are so excited. They've been texting, tweeting, Instagramming just how excited they are to play in that. So that's going to be awesome.
How we feel?
Amazing.
It's success freely given.
There you go. Perfect, man.
Let's go. 5 more. Let's go.
So during the tournament, it's going to be business as usual. We're going to keep those same guidelines on.
You want everybody's family to be safe. That's the number one thing. Do we want the kids to get better? Yes, but safety and people's health is way more important.
Hey Marcus, after the drill here, we want to make sure that we're staying sanitary. So if you want to go ahead and pump a little bit on your hand there, go ahead and clean off a little bit.
A lot of the practices that, you know, we've put in place before are probably going to stay standard. As far as it goes to the X's and O's, this will be a chance to kind of implement some of the things we did last year and just continuously do that and talk. But also it's going to be a lot of in-game strategy where, you know, we haven't had a lot of time of doing a lot of team stuff. So this gives us a chance to be creative and just kind of see what works, you know, stick to fundamental principles and, you know, just have some fun.